Obsessed with solid minds, no tales of the strange. In Sasquatch Secrets, they'll begin to rearrange. Truth's the vibe, we're on a quest. Look beyond the trees, what do you see? Factual stories redefining history. No myths, no magic, let's break the mold. With every word spoken, the wonders unfold. Footprints in the snow, not just a myth. Data and research was sift through the pit. Tales of a creature, but science leads the way. Nikki's quest for knowledge, come join and stay.
And hello, everybody. Welcome back to Sasquatch Secrets. I'm your host, Nikki Colon, and today we are diving deep into one of the most iconic moments in Bigfoot history, the Patterson Gimlin film shot at Bluff Creek, California in 1967. So joining me is a guest who's not only passionate about the legendary footage, but has taken it a step further by recreating the site and the scene with the level of detail that's turning heads in the Bigfoot community. You may know him as the Lazy Cowboy on YouTube, but Ed is here with us to talk about how he rediscovered the filming location, the tools, the methods he used to recreate the footage, and what he's learned along the way. We've also got Tate is in the house and Ron Reed as well. So we're going to have a good conversation tonight. So if you've ever wondered what it takes to stand in the very footsteps of Roger Patterson and Bob Gimlin, you're in for a fascinating ride. So let's get to it and we'll bring on that Lazy Cowboy. Hello, welcome to the show. Good to see you. See you for real for the first time.
Well, I think there was one picture out somewhere if you looked hard enough. But,
yeah,
here I am.
We're definitely looking forward to going through some of the work you've done lately, and I know it's been hard work and took some collaboration out there from a lot of people. So let's go ahead and bring, is Tate back there? I don't know. We'll bring on Ron.
Hey.
Hey, Ron. Welcome to the show. Good to see you. Hope you're having a good Sunday.
Yep, it's starting to warm up in Wisconsin a little more frequently now, so the weather's been good and the urge to get outside and do some camping is growing. So maybe next weekend I'll get out there a little bit.
Yes, I keep seeing videos popping up. People are still freezing out there though, so it's like, oh well, almost time. I'm not going to do the cold wet thing yet. That's out there. Everybody. This morning, Brent and Tristan were out with Shane, and they got some good footage out there. So it was really interesting seeing their live, but yeah, they were, their feet were all wet and it's kind of yucky. But let's bring on Tate.
I love the profile picture for that.
How you doing, Tate? Good to see you.
Oh, I'm just hanging in there.
Hanging in there. Got your beverages. Everybody's good. We're good to start. Yep. Okay. So let's say hi to everybody. In the chat, we've got Sandra, Bigfoot Dwarf. Good to see you, Glenn. Glad you made it. Fantastic. Fabiola, Curious Adventures. Nice to see you. Glad you could make it. Jen. Hi, Jen. Grasshopper. You guys, Jen, did you go to the Ohio conference? I can't remember if you were going too. You guys were camping out there. Are you back already? Or are you still out there on the road? Curious minds want to know. Sharon, who else we've got? Mountain Man, good to see you. He was on the chat earlier this morning. So I know I probably missed some people, but it's good to see y'all. But we're going to go ahead and get started with this. So if you haven't, well, I better bring this up too. I'm going to move this like this. That way it'll be a bigger picture. So Lazy Cowboy Ed here has his channel where he started to recreate the Bluff Creek crossing, but you started in a very different place. You started with Pattie. I kind of am interested in hearing exactly, how'd you get started in all this? What was the first thing that drew you to the Patterson Gimlin film to begin with?
I guess this all started, the YouTubing stuff must have started around COVID time when I had a lot of spare time, quite bored. So I started scrolling Facebook and finding the Bigfoot sites because I was always kind of interested in it anyway. And then I kind of got deep into the more believery pages, and there were some strange things in there, and people posting pictures of Pattie and suggesting that it was some kind of massive, enormous, weirdly proportioned beast, and I just couldn't see it. So I started looking a bit deeper into it, and that led me to other YouTubers that have done similar things and documentaries, which kind of show overlays of things on Pattie, and I just couldn't see how they kind of worked. But people were believing it or falling for it. Not falling for it, but they obviously saw what was being shown, but I couldn't see it. So then I started to try to have a go myself, and I found it quite addictive, and I didn't really find it as hard as I thought it would be to line up certain things with Pattie. And I just carried on. So once I'd made the Pattie model and made a few videos, I kind of just carried on because I wanted to put Pattie into the environment that she was walking in, and then just carried on, really.
Right. There's some of the videos you've done there, and it's a hot topic. Pattie, the PNG film, over 50 years, and we still, as Grasshopper would put it, we're like, drumming that thing to the ground, pretty much. Talked about everything, but we still love that subject. We're still drawn to it. It's still at the top of everybody's list of that thing that drew you into Bigfoot or keeps you motivated in looking for Bigfoot. That hasn't changed. Yes, there's definitely sides to belief of Pattie and the whole PNG film, but it's okay. I think it at this point, to me, it really doesn't matter if it is real or not real. It's still an amazing thought that could happen if it is, and if it isn't, it doesn't matter. We're in the same position. So these type of videos that you do, really interesting. I find a lot of interest in, because that is coming from the more science and the more kind of math.
Yeah, a lot of it, I wouldn't say there's much science in it. All I'm trying to do is represent what I see in the film as accurate as I can, so that there shouldn't be any questions. I'm trying to reduce the amount of questions I get by showing as much as I can in the best way possible. Just what always confused me about other things that were being done. If we can, for example, Legend Meets Science did a similar recreation of Pattie. When I look at that, I don't see anything remotely accurate in that. So I was just trying to do a better job, or a different job from a different angle, and then seeing where it went. And here we are. I've gone a bit too far.
Who are some of the people in the community that you drew, help with in maps and history, the actual layouts, stuff like that. Did I understand
Well,
Steve Strufert,
yeah.
helped?
So the second, there were basically 3 videos that are the ones that are probably worth watching, not so much the other ones. So the second 2 of those are the ones that focus on Bluff Creek itself. And there was a lot of back and forwards between Steve and the Bluff Creek boys. Just fact checking, really. I spent a lot of time reading the Bluff Creek Project book. I was always reading that and just checking stuff out. And the maps in there and the survey work is really good. So basically, there were 2 big pieces of information. We had the Hindon map, which we can show you later, and then the Bluff Creek Project maps. And then I was just trying to overlay the 2 and make it all merge into one and scale it all correctly. So once I'd done that, I was able to then kind of use Google Earth as well, so you can extract all the terrain information and the hills and stuff, and pull it into one big model. It's probably a bit more complicated than that, but that's basically what I did.
Right? Is it a program?
Sorry?
Is it a specific program that you use to do that?
So I started in a program called DAZ. It's a free 3D piece of software, and that's where I started making the 3D model of Pattie. And then once I'd done that, I tried to create the terrain, but that software was kind of a bit too heavy going. It was taking me days to render out animations in that. So for the second Bluff Creek video, where it's kind of doesn't cut, it's just all the way through the route. I have to move into a gaming engine called Unreal. So that one's all in real time pretty much. So we can go where you want. It's basically like a video game now I've done that one.
It's so cool what you can do nowadays.
I know, it's pretty amazing. I didn't when I first started, I didn't have any experience in any of the software that I was using, or any real 3D work. I just kind of learned it as I went along. That was one of the motivations why I was doing it, because I thought I was looking at all this other stuff and they were doing such a bad job of it. And I thought, why? So I thought I'd try and do better and say how long it took to do better. And it's not that hard if you know what you're doing.
I'm going to tell you right now, I've been in the community. Ron, if you've been in the community a long time, and Nikki, I'm sure you have. Yeah, Ed's right. When it comes to the PG film, everything's been pretty bad. And then when I saw your stuff, I'm like, dude, this is probably my favorite thing I've seen in a long time related to the PG film.
I know, but you got to ask the question, why is it so bad? Is it deliberately bad? I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know.
That is a good one right there. Well, there's many who say they have the best, that they've created, the epitome of cleaning up the whole film footage and what's the real thing. And of course, where am I at here? Hold on. I'm talking about Gatewood. Yes, I am.
I was waiting for it.
He put out his stuff, and matter of fact, I probably took his stuff off of here. But, he comes up with stuff like this. It
doesn't even look real.
It's really ridiculous.
That can't be the same picture. That has to be like some kind of drawing. The 92 one.
Yeah. And
I think
but
Gatewood
it doesn't look anything like the 67 one. So the whole jaw, everything's different. So
no, Gatewood 100% used AI. I'm just gonna come out. I've said it in the past. I'm saying it now.
Yeah, things changed. It changed. It filled in places that shouldn't have been. So that's that. That's pretty much that. And that's where we're at. That's the type of stuff we get. MK Davis did do a lot of good work in a lot of the cleanup of some of the film, some of the things he did. But of course, then that got carried away in one, fell swoop with when he started changing hues and started going into the massacre theory everything kind of for me got convoluted, and then it wasn't any good anymore at all, any of it.
My favorite thing, Ed, when I watched the Bigfoot, the part 2 one in Bluff Creek, was what you said about MK Davis. And it was
I didn't say it though.
the narration was like, we can move on from MK Davis's nonsense upstream. Like,
yeah,
that had me rolling so hard.
I haven't had much backlash from any of my stuff, but every time I do get it, it's always about that moment in that video.
It's my favorite.
I should leave him alone. I was being really nasty, but
it was too good. It was. I think it was.
Coming up is the challenges. Of what were some of the biggest challenges that you encountered while recreating this? Did you get a lot of backlash from anybody?
No, none. I've got a few comments about the recreating Pattie, just saying I got all certain joints in the wrong place and things like that, but there was nothing there that couldn't be explained. But usually when you explain it, they don't have any other questions. They kind of vanish. Because I'm happy to show people how I did it. I did that in the video anyway. There's nothing really being hidden there. Yeah. It's pretty straightforward.
Right.
Other than that, no real challenges, other than the choice of things I say in the video. But that's really the only thing that anyone's ever mentioned is the MK Davis, because he's got a lot of fans, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, they come after you if you say anything bad. That's for sure.
Yeah, but he said something bad, and I don't know what's worse, saying he can't find horse shit. Or saying that he killed Bob Gimlin killed a load of Bigfoot. I don't know. What's the worst?
Or he finds Bigfoot fetuses laying around.
I
did nearly put one of those in there in the model. But
what's Brent's thing? They're the oven mitt watching over.
Oh yeah, the camera with the oven mitt holding it up or whatever.
Well, Todd. Okay, Todd. You know what's funny? Todd Gable was like, "Well, me and somebody else are gonna." Oh, I think he was talking about MK Davis. We're gonna go down to the film site and do scans and stuff of different things. But we're thinking, oh, that's gonna be MK Davis's site, not the actual site. So good luck with that.
Yeah, because he's got the right site. We've got the wrong one.
And yep. True.
Well, we can look at the site in a minute, can't we? We'll go there.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I was just going to tell you. Why don't you go ahead and start pulling up? Let's show the actual run through.
Yeah, because that's really freaking cool.
Because some people here may not have seen that, and then we can.
Oh, you want to go straight into the model? Okay.
Yeah. Let's do that first, just so people know what we're talking about, who are out there and maybe have not checked out your channel. And that's the Lazy Cowboy channel. And again, you guys can find all of their information down in the description. You can find Tate's and Ron's and Ed's down there. And I highly recommend you go and subscribe and check out what they do.
I remembered how to do it. That's good.
Okay. Here it comes. All righty.
Okay.
Oh.
Yeah. So that gray thing there is the first model I made based on the Bluff Creek project maps and the Hindon map. So I had to take that, bring it into the new engine, and then recreate it all in the new one. So you kind of see how it merges into the new model.
Is that from the 72 overview shot, Ed?
No, I'm not in the right position yet, but I can take you there in a minute. So let me just move this out of the way. Put some trees back in. There we go. So where do you want to start?
Okay, so for those of you that are watching this, the white line is going to actually be the track that Pattie took. Okay.
We've got two white lines. It might get confusing.
Oh, yeah.
the one white line is the river, or the creek, sorry. And the other one is Pattie's route, where she went. But I think we should start back where Roger and Bob rode out that day.
Yeah.
Okay. How should we do it? Should we walk or fly?
Flying's pretty nice.
Okay. Okay, we'll start here then. So that is the MK Davis site right there. I
Okay.
believe. Unless someone knows different.
Does it kind of give you a
Zoom
rough?
out, you'll see where we are.
Does it give you like a rough distance between where the MK Davis site is and the film site? Because I think
I can measure it as the. If I change the view and zoom out, so MK Davis site is here.
All right.
And I can drag a line to the Pattie site. How far do you think it is?
I think it's maybe about a mile.
Yeah, so okay, it's a bit text a bit small. I think it's just under a kilometer I've got as the crow flies.
Oh, so I'm way off.
Unless I'm way off.
Yeah.
So this all this information here is taken from old historical maps and Google Earth, basically. So we know on Google Earth where the Patterson site is. And then we've got the other major landmark, which is the Big Slide.
Yeah.
Now we know that the MK Davis site is just down at the base of the Big Slide, I believe.
Wow.
Let's get back in there.
That's a good perspective. I did think it was even further away, though.
It's crazy. All the sites are relatively close. Like from what Rowdy's told
they're
me.
all in a pretty short space of distance
Yeah.
along the creek, aren't they? If you read the Bluff Creek Project book, there's a chapter in there where I think Robert Lederman takes you on a descriptive journey up the creek, pointing out where like the Rocky Plug is and the Big Slide and the MK Davis site, and he walks you all the way to the film site. So I use that a lot to try, because there's not a lot of information as you get a bit further on, to try and fill in the blanks. But obviously a lot of this is imagination and just based on the aerial map. On the aerial map, you can see where there's no trees. So you kind of have to flatten those areas out and try and figure it all out.
Yeah.
There are some other good images around from the early 70s from a guy called Gary Pinson and some other people, which helped a lot. Obviously, as I was doing it, I kept throwing this information in my on my Facebook page to Stephen and Rowdy and Robert, just for feedback. And Jonathan Easley as well helped a fair bit, especially around here where the first filming site is.
Yeah.
I
So think this is where MK Davis site is.
think you're right. It's like right there.
Yeah.
I wonder if MK Davis thinks that because in the film you see you see that slide, and maybe he thought it was like, oh, it's gonna be right here because the next few shots are of Pattie.
Yeah, maybe. I've watched a few of his things. I don't think has he ever referenced him finding anything like a big tree or a stump? I don't know.
No, and if he has, well, he doesn't think there was a big stump or tree there, so yeah, I don't think he's ever said anything about it. If he did, he was saying somebody was wrong.
So I think right here is right there is where the fetus was. I think anyway. All right, let's move on. So this is the this is where the camera was first turned on that day. There was a camera there. I put all these sources in there so I could figure out what was going on. That was helping me track everything and also place some of the shadows as well, because all the shadow work is supposed to be accurate within the software. So I was trying to figure out all the times of the day and making it all work so it matched the footage. Because on the footage on YouTube, I blended in the actual footage as we move around the model. So I was trying to match it all in there as best I could.
So, like, did you have to, when you were trying to do this historically accurate to the day? So did you like look up the month and everything and figure out where the shadows would have been at that time or something like that?
Yeah. In the software, it's all built in. I can enter in the location, the geolocation, daylight saving hours, time of day, month and year, and I can change all the shadows and sun accordingly.
Oh, that's crazy.
No, I did that, and I also double checked it in Sketch, because you can do the same in SketchUp, and there are websites you can go to check it all out. So it all matches between the three pieces of software. So providing I haven't made a massive mistake, it's okay. I'll show you what we can do. If I type in sun, click it on it, and it brings me up. You'll see on the left, it's got all the latitude, longitude. We've got the month, so I've got the 20th of the 10th. And then I've got the hours of the day. I can change it. It's set at 2:30 at the moment, and I can move it around.
Oh, wow.
That's insane.
So yeah, in the video, to me, it looks as though the first part of the footage where they're riding along was filmed around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. That's what I think, but who knows?
I think you're right. I think you're 100% right. Because actually the bridge, there's rumors that Roger and Bob camped at Louse Camp, but there's actually, once you kind of get on the back roads to go to Louse Camp, there's a Bluff Creek Bridge that you cross first, then you cross the Notice Creek Bridge that was involved during the 1958 Jerry Crew incident. So the Bluff Creek Bridge that Bob and Roger camped at, they would have hiked or rode horseback from that bridge to the film site, and you would have to pass this on the way. So I think, Ed, you're right about that they did film that.
It makes sense if you listen to all the interviews. I must have listened to hundreds of interviews trying to piece this all together. I think Bob says they left at 1:30 in the afternoon from their site and then rode 4 miles to here. So that would be about right, an hour and a half, 4 miles with a donkey. I don't know.
I'd say yeah, it should be maybe a little quicker because I don't.
Yeah.
There was a road.
At one point, I did start googling how fast donkeys walked, and I tried to figure it out.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this is going too far. I had to stop.
Dang.
Yeah. Got way too much time on my hands. So yeah.
But
the problem with 3 o'clock here, it causes a problem later down the line because it's all supposed to have been done on the same day.
Yeah, right.
Anyway, so yeah, that's where Bob rides up the hill towards the slide. And then I guess he turns around and they head this way into the next filming position. But we can go up here and have a look down.
Yeah, that's quite a...
So the areas with the sandbars are quite big, aren't they? They're massive. When I started modeling it, I wasn't expecting them to be this big. They appear big to me. This is the one thing that always confused me, was this section here, this rocky plug thing. I couldn't find any photos of that. And, so I just threw a big rock in there and hope for the best on that one.
I like it.
Yeah. I can always change it.
Yeah.
So yeah, then they must have been down here, and then I think Bob must have stood amongst here somewhere and started filming. Yeah, no, Bob started filming at this point. He was filming Roger riding the horse through the red trees, heading this way.
Oh yeah, yep. I remember. Yeah, you're right.
So that wasn't very far away from the big slides. So I think there are 3 shots taken here. You've got 2 in the red trees, and then the last one is on a bend. You can see the road bending to the right, but there's no natural bend in the creek there. So I'm guessing, or I think, the road bends to the point where they cross the creek. And they come onto this area, which I believe, I was chatting to Stephen about it. It's an old log landing. There's no images or anything here, so I just kind of made it up. But this is also where the remnants of the horse corral is. It probably doesn't look like that, but
right. Well, for reference,
it's still there today, isn't it? Some kind of signs of an old corral.
That would be a take question. I don't know.
I think by now, because if this was 67, over.
I think there's still signs of something there. Apparently, I've read it in the book as well.
Yeah, I think there's some like rebar or whatever they used over there, probably underneath some sediment.
I think there's also rumors that this might have been where Bob and Roger camped as well.
That was another rumor right there.
Yeah.
Actually, you know what? I did go with Robert because we hiked from the Bluff Creek bridge, not the one off the main highway, but the one close to Louse Camp. And we were like, Robert brought a metal detector, and I think he found some of the remnants of that when we were there. So, I think it's still there. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, so then we get into this stretch of the creek where there's not a lot going on in terms of landmarks or known things. So I was just kind of making this up. Well, I wasn't making it up. It's all based on the map.
Right.
I think we just passed Peter Burns' film site, which I don't quite understand that one, because that's here somewhere and there's no room anywhere there for a film site.
Yeah.
So we zoom up here, we get to Christopher Murphy's film site. The guy that wrote the Sasquatch book.
Yeah.
I think that's here somewhere. So which is just at the base of the Big Gulch. So here's the Big Gulch. And the... I'll just change the time of day so it's a bit brighter. Maybe.
Whoa,
Okay.
dude. This thing is sweet. I need to learn how to use this program.
It's hidden. That gulch. Well, that's good.
Yeah, it's a bit shadowy in the gulch. So yeah, that's it. Anyway, so we're kind of approaching the last major bend before we get to the home stretch towards the film site. So this big area here is the Murphy site, where he thinks it all took place, or thought it took place. And then next to it is the other one, which I think they call the Perez site in the Bluff Creek Project book.
Oh.
But this, for me, is where it got confusing in the timeline. Because if you read the different reports of what was going on and when, it either says they rounded a bend and saw Pattie, or it says they got to a bend and saw Pattie. So I kind of went with the one where they approached the bend and saw Pattie. So if we come around this bend, I'll change the time of day again because that's not working. There we go. So this is where they, if they come around a bend and see Pattie, it must have happened here.
Yeah, because you messaged me actually.
Yeah, I did. Yeah,
a while ago asking, and I was trying to remember where it happened too. So,
but there are some old videos of Bob Gimlin talking to Bill Munns, and Bill Munns obviously made a model a fair few years ago now, and Bob is pointing to this bend here of where it all where they saw Pattie. So this is where they approach the last bend, and they come around and see Pattie standing over there on the other side of the creek. Which makes sense I think that's the way the story is told more consistently anyway, for me. But then I emailed you that question, what was Pattie doing for 20 seconds?
Like before, like what, the 20 seconds before they stumbled upon her?
No, because what happens is they come around this bend. Well, they approach the bend.
Yeah.
So that at the moment they're hidden by this root system. Then Roger falls off his horse as they both see each other. But then there's like a 20-second period of.
So it makes me wonder, because from what they were saying, Pattie was drinking out of the creek.
Yeah.
At the time, but they're also downwind of her. So unless it was like right there, I think what happened was she didn't see them or smell them or hear them. And I think Roger's horse saw Pattie before Roger did, and it freaked her out. He threw her, or his horse threw him, and then he probably realized what was happening, grabbed the camera out of his saddlebag, and started filming. I feel like that's pretty reasonable to what happened, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think that is what happened. But there's a moment in time where everyone's kind of standing staring at each other.
Yeah. That would be creepy if I was Roger.
Yeah. I find it quite interesting because this gives you a view of the approach of the film site, doesn't it? As they were coming around the bend. It's fairly open. Obviously, they might not be as open as I made it look here, but if I use the aerial maps, you can kind of see where the open areas are. So I know she was crouched down behind this big log pile, but I think the approach is fairly open. Okay. I'll quickly take you up on, you want to see that where the 1972 photo was taken.
Yeah.
Which is here.
That's insane. And that's where that's where they believed Pattie went up after Roger filmed her and watched them looking at the tracks and everything. So
from there, I thought it was further down.
Yeah, no, it's here. I'll take you there in a minute. We can go down here first. I'll try and bring Pattie in if I can figure it out. There you go. Right, there we go. Just try and make it brighter again.
Oh my God, I'd be so lost trying to figure all that shit out.
Here we go.
I'm thinking the same thing.
It's throwing her into a shadow, so we'll have to deal with it in the shadow. Anyway, she is there somewhere.
Yeah, I see her.
Yeah, if I just press play, we can follow her where she goes.
Okay. Oops.
The only thing I haven't been able to do in this software is get hair on her. She's bald at the moment. Can't do it. So there she goes on her route. And then she'll look back in a minute, I think. So she looks back now. There we go.
Wow.
That's where Hinden was for his photo up on there. That's the hole that Bob Hieronymus jumped in, right there.
My uncle.
Yeah. And then she carries on up there, so I'll stop it there and I'll jump out. Ugh. Okay. I didn't know, if you read the reports, it's a bit confusing what happens here. She either crosses across the creek straight away and up into the hills, or she carries on all the way down here. Now, I kept her on the left-hand side of the creek because there's a point where Bob says that she puts a big wet footprint on a flat rock. So she must have crossed over at the end to get a wet footprint on the rock, I think. And then she turned around up that white line, up into the hills, must have walked all the way back down here, up to where Hinden took the photo, and then crouched in the hill in the woods, apparently checking out what they were doing, taking the footprints and the casts and stuff.
Wow.
That would be crazy to like think that something's watching us after we just saw it. And like that'd be nuts.
Yeah, that's quite a recreation there, for sure.
Yeah, so
it really puts how big of an area that is, you know, because we're only seeing such a small portion, and then when you put all of that together, it's just it's a big area. You know?
You know what's actually crazy, and I think Ron, you could probably agree. Like being there, I mean, obviously, in '67 it was more open because of the flood in '64, but even with all the tree cover, it's actually smaller in person than it would look like on something like this. I mean, what do you think, Ron? That's what I think.
Yeah, I think. Just testing my audio here. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Been on mute for most of the show, but yeah, I think you get there with the perception that like the film was at the open gate of a big, wide, expansive wilderness. But you get in there and I kind of feel like you're just tucked into a pocket where physical limitations become a factor of how people and animals can maneuver around. Like it's a very deep valley, but it does kind of open up and expand in different places. It does feel a bit smaller, I guess, just because in our minds it's a big grounds of like historical significance. But yeah, I don't know. It does feel a bit tight once you're down there. In that regard, I guess.
Just trying to see if I can bring in a map that I used to scale it. Might be quite interesting if I can bring it up. Oh yeah, here we go. So this is an old aerial map of the area.
That's so cool.
Wow.
So that's how I figured out where all the flat areas are, with the no trees, basically, and scaled it all in conjunction with Google Earth and all that kind of stuff. So it's fairly accurate.
Wow.
If I sink it down, you'll kind of see how it all merges into the lower areas where all the pale areas are. Obviously, all the sandbars. So they're the
That's insane.
last pieces to go. So I can't. Yeah, it's never going to be exact, but it's fairly close. And then right on the sandbar, we've got. I'll take you in there. And that's Robert Lederman's site survey map.
Oh, look at that.
So that area in that zone is all really accurate in terms of the artifacts and the trees and stuff.
Uh-huh.
Everything out of that area is just done on photos and reference images and things like that.
Yeah, watching that on your YouTube video, kind of seeing a expansion on that specific area, like it was really cool to see a accurate digital rendering of places that we had visited. Like, I know that we're back in time in the digital recreation, but still just being able to identify stumps that are still there now, like based off of how accurate your render is, like was really cool. I think just like to make a statement on like what this has achieved for people who go out in the field and do their investigations, is like you're able to navigate the greater area, and that gives us access to explore like what an animal might be doing there, kind of tie in behavior and circumstances from the film itself, and kind of speculate what Pattie was up to, where Pattie was going, where Pattie might spend a typical Tuesday afternoon. And you're able to like just plant yourself on top of a ridge that physically we've struggled to go up and explore, because like, I mean, and then with using like all the Google satellite images and stuff like that, that has a degree of accuracy too that is like much appreciated and valued. Like we know that we can kind of take that virtual field trip up to that mountain that I tried climbing just behind the film site and couldn't quite get it, because it was so steep.
Wow.
Yeah. So
from beginning to end, or when you were really, really just focused on getting this recreation done, how many hours? How long did it take you? Have you been working on it for a whole year or 4 years since COVID?
I think I started the Pattie model just over a year ago, and then that went straight into the Bluff Creek recreation with just the sandbar. So that took a long time. Actually, the recreation of the site, it did take a long time, but I think getting Pattie to walk, because in that first video of the recreation, I had to try and figure out where Pattie was and mimic all the camera movements.
Mm-hmm.
That took a long time because I was there having to reference back and forwards for weeks on end, and making sure she was kind of in the right place. That took a long time. And then trying to animate the turn section where she was looking back and stuff. Because I hadn't done animation before. That took a long time to figure all that out. I've got mountains of calculations of papers and stuff. So that took a long time. And then this model itself, obviously the sandbar didn't take long because I'd already got that model. And I didn't quite know how I was going to do it all, or whether I'd be able to do it. And I hadn't used the software before, so I didn't quite know if it was even possible.
Mm-hmm.
But then once I figured out that it was possible, I couldn't stop, because I kept adding details and thinking I could probably do a better job. And see all these little pebbles on the floor and stuff. Originally they went in there and I thought, well, I can do it, so I might as well do it everywhere. So putting all these pebbles around the entire route, I think that's probably something wrong with me.
I don't think
I couldn't stop. I couldn't leave an area bold with no detail in it, so I keep having to go back and do it before I could put it out there. Even now when I watch it back, I can still see things that aren't quite right. Every now and again, if you look closely, there's Pattie standing randomly for no reason whatsoever, but she's really small. Kind of bugs me. But I was noticing.
I'm just not, I don't think a lot of us understand how difficult it is to recreate something, this accurate. And it's a lot of time.
But it's always, when I was doing it, I didn't know it was accurate or not. I knew the sandbar was fairly accurate. And then the rest of it was just, it started looking really good as I was building it, but looking good doesn't mean it's actually good. So I started putting previews onto my Facebook page so Robert and Stephen and everybody could check it out. And it was all getting good feedback. And they would tell me to tweak things here and there. So, it was good.
Shoot, I forgot my question already. Have you had a lot of people come and reach out to you to collaborate or to share your data with them? Since
no,
put up work.
No, I think there's been a couple of people.
Pattie, thank you. Oh my goodness!
One person on YouTube has asked to use various clips and bits and bobs. Maybe is it Eric from the China Flat Museum? He might put a display on rotating around so people maybe going out to the site can check it out as it would have been back then. But not a great deal now.
You're amazing, Pattie. Thank you so much for supporting us. It's greatly appreciated.
Whoa! Whoa!
Thank you again, Pattie.
So that's the
No,
site.
I can't take it.
Is there anywhere else you want to go before we go somewhere else?
Never.
What was I going to ask? It was, dang it. Let's see. I think a lot of the questions we started working on. I really kind of want to see the view of Pattie walking in her view.
Okay, well, let me just change the time of day so it's not so dark.
Oh, thank you, Shelley, so much. Appreciate you.
There we go. So yeah, we go to where she was standing when they came around.
Yeah.
So she was stood here behind that log pile. And they came past that root ball system on the other side of the creek. Then she kind of stood here for a bit watching Roger get his camera out. Then she turned around, went up the bank, went this way. You've got there, that's the turn back section there. She carried on somewhere around here. And then into the hole. Or not.
Or not. And of course, we still have people out there who will swear that there were babies out there and other Bigfoot in the area, and they can see it in the background. And, nothing substantiated, right? Just people will see what they want to in some of the footage, the film footage.
Yeah. And that's it. That's all I've done so far. I don't think I'm going to do any more.
Oh, that's a lot. I mean, it really gives you an understanding of, where everybody was at what point, and what the rest of the area looked like. Because again, we just see this small little portion.
Yeah, it does. And obviously, this road, which comes all the way around here that they were following, you could obviously drive down there at that point.
Yeah.
In a truck. I don't think people appreciate how accessible it was back then. I don't know how far you could drive up. I think you could drive to about here, couldn't you? But I don't know if you could go up here. Maybe you could.
Are you talking about like the road that goes from like to the film site?
Yeah.
Yeah, I only know that people could go up to the film site too. I didn't know if it goes further than that.
Yeah.
And what's the road that you use to go down to the site, Tate?
That is the 12 and 13H road. It used to go all the way down to the Peter Byrne site. Or not the Peter Byrne, the Christopher Murphy site, I believe. And then from there you hike back upstream to the film site.
I don't think Pattie would leave a baby behind. I don't think that either, if she had one. Cowboy One says, "Do you know this is not 100% correct, right? What do you feel is not correct, Cowboy?" No, I mean, nothing will be completely perfect, but if you base it off of old maps,
Cowboy's already said in the chat, hasn't he? He said that the first question, or first thing he said is that the creek was dry when they filmed Pattie.
Oh yeah.
But Bob Gimlin,
well, there was a little bit.
If you listen to the interviews, Bob Gimlin says he said the water was about a foot deep when he crossed it.
Yeah.
That's not dry. Is it?
No. And it's usually like that today, and sometimes in the area a little bit deeper.
Mm.
Yeah, there's definitely like portions of Bluff Creek that are much more rocky and more of little driblets of water going through it than there are like a consistent flow.
Yeah, I've seen the photos of it, but I couldn't. I'll probably still be doing it now if I was going to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I had to kind of choose a depth of the water and then kind of stick with it. So I took what Bob said, about a foot deep, and I kind of just went with that all the way around. Otherwise, I'd have been here for years.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. We all know that a creek, ebb and flow, it's higher in some areas, lower, up, down. It's going to be all different. But for a model like this, unless she was playing in the water or moving around directly in the water, really, I think it doesn't matter.
Making splishy splashies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think Pattie, what else? Let's see.
So that's where Roger would have stood when he filmed through the trees. That's the last bit of footage you got, I guess. It's somewhere there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That camera keeps freaking me out, floating there. So is there any other questions in the chat? Now's the time to ask. Is there anything you wanted to see about this area or any questions about the area? You know, there were a lot of people who thought that Pattie, or so, those are the two different, can you tell? That's the film off of the original, and then that's Gatewood's recreation right there. Of seeing, you know, people in the background, because people see pareidolia all over the place and tend to pull things out of the back, and they even say that it was, you know, faces back there, that it was Bob Gimlin's face in the background of the photos. And
I think that would have been about here. Looking at that.
What's that?
That photo of Pattie with her foot in the air.
Oh.
Bob Gimlin in the background. Yeah, that one. So that is here somewhere. So Bob would have been in there. There he is.
Oops. Hold on. Let me get that off. It won't come on. Oops. Okay. We'll go back to the old videos when they first started filming. Pattie stood up and walked no water in the creek. That's what I'm talking about. Well, that's what I just said. Not the whole creek's not going to have a foot of water. But for this render,
the footage is which bit? Is that the bit where they first started filming Pattie? Yeah, there's water in the creek there. You can see it because that's also
there is
the
a
water
little bit. It's just little, you know. It's not. But what does the water change? The height of the water in the creek, does that make a difference to you? It makes a difference to you, but to the overall thing, I don't think it does.
So actually, are you talking about like for crossing the creek and everything, or like what are you trying to? What's the question?
Well, I think he's just saying that this isn't an accurate rendering because the creek water, because he thinks there was no water in the creek.
Yeah,
we can see there's water in the creek from the video. And also Bob says there's a foot of water in the creek at the point they crossed. So.
And then the fact that there was Pattie was drinking from a creek at the time of the encounter.
There was no water in the film. Yes, there was. You can see.
There was definitely water there.
Yeah, I see water.
Because actually, in '67, the creek was not. If you go there today, what do you think? Around like 3 feet, the creek has eroded the sandbar over time. It's about 3 feet from the bottom of the creek, maybe 3.5, to the actual sandbar height where Pattie walked in '67. So, like, is that right, Ron? About 3.5 feet? You're muted. Oh, he's saying no. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 3.5 feet.
But then it still changes. You know, you're going to have one little section that may be 3 feet and another that's a foot and another that's trickling. And then, you know, it's going to change. That's normal in any creek.
He learned it last week.
What? In 1967, when the Pattie, there was no water in the creek. That's what I'm telling you guys. I just learned this last week.
Where?
It wasn't from Bob.
Yeah, Bob says there's a foot of water, and you can see.
He's the only one we can go off of because he's the only one still alive who can verify because he was there. None of us were there. So.
All right. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Having a heck of a time with my mic and audio today. But I was trying to say that like there's a lot of erosion present, kind of Tate's point, and the water changes so much, and just creek systems in general. Like that's probably one of the, in one aspect, the fact that we note the water, the flow of water, the direction of water, like that's an important factor, especially when we're factoring in like animal behaviors and what the film subject, if it's a biological creature, like what its needs are. But from the aspect of like how accurate the water is in the render, like as long as we can acknowledge that the creek wasn't completely dry and that there was water present, then we can acknowledge the fact that it was the resource and it was available. But in terms of like trying to put rocks and boulders and soil content and bends and things, like that stuff changes in the course of a single rainfall. So like any degree of accuracy just wouldn't be available to us, like to try and make it perfect, and I can attest to that, like just in my local creek and how often I see, oh, well, now it goes this way. It used to swing left. Now it swings right because, 2 to 15 tons of soil and rock content just got pushed with a heavy flow of water. Like it's asking a lot. But I think just knowing the general direction of the creek, its flow, using pictures and GPS to kind of know how it's carving out the topography. But I think that's like kind of the greater takeaway, and especially since we do have estimated depths at the time based off of testimonies. Like that's like it's getting about as close as we can, which is. Right. That's better than being wildly off and saying that it was 4.5 feet deep in a raging flood.
Right. Which happened many years before.
Well, if there was no creek in the film, then I can't imagine there'd be a creek today, which there definitely is because I've seen it with my own eyes.
Right.
Well, you can see the horses drinking out of the creek at the start of the video, can't you?
Yeah, 100%. And like as you've shown, Ed, like the M.K. Davis site, the Christopher Murphy site, Peter Burns site, there's all water there. You can see it in the footage, in Roger's footage leading up to it. Mm-hmm. So how would there be water there but not at the film site?
Right.
When it's downstream.
Yeah, there's definitely water there.
Yeah.
How much? I don't know where there was.
How does the river lie? North, south, or east, west, east? How does it flow?
So the river it goes past the sandbar north to south, doesn't it?
North, south? Okay.
Yeah, and then it heads west.
Okay.
There you go. So, because the bowling alley heads north, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. That's just crazy. It looks like the drone footage I've seen from Rowdy and some I've gotten before.
Yeah, I did. Have you seen the side by side of the drone footage of the model?
I think I did watch it. I need to go watch. It's on your channel, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I need to go watch that again.
It's not perfect, but it's quite good.
I thought it was awesome. Idea. I was like, dude, this is great. It looks just like it.
Which video is that? Hold on.
This is a year or so ago, right?
No, it wasn't that long ago, but it's only on the Facebook page, I think.
I thought it was longer.
Oh, okay. I'm like, I don't remember seeing that.
That was it was Rowdy's footage, I think, right? And you went and edited along with it.
Mm.
That's so cool.
Look for it. You have so many pictures up, though.
Me? I like to put my fan up.
Rowdy actually lost a drone up there, so anybody who wants to go on like a drone treasure hunt. It was one of the Phantom drones. Like,
Pulling up.
it's insane. It's still up there. I want to find it really bad. That's like going to be more important than finding the film site at this point.
What, finding your drone?
No, because Rowdy was up there filming with his drone, and he crashed into some trees, but he never found it.
Oh,
It's like, guys, if you can find the film site, let's find Rowdy's drone now.
It's probably like tucked in a prized possession corner of a secret Sasquatch den, along with like pretty flowers and a couple of cool bones and things, you know.
That's actually pretty good. What if it's on the film site the whole time?
oh my gosh.
I can send it to you in Messenger, I think.
Oh yeah, I stopped looking.
No.
Okay. Alrighty then.
Wait, is there music? I thought I heard music.
Yeah, it's some kind of banjo music on the.
Yeah.
I love it. Let me get some moonshine first.
Where's the people? What the heck? Oh, there it is. Okay, let's do that again. Okay, is it showing?
What are you trying to show?
I don't know. Hold on. I got like too many things up, so I need to take him off. And I need to put this one on. It's not good. It's not a good. Muted and play. So here we go. So,
Oh, this is Rowdy. Yeah, this is good.
let me see if I can make that bigger. Yes, I can. Yeah. Oh shoot! No, I made it smaller. Figure it out. I'll figure it out. There we go. Oh, dang it. Oh. Is it moving? There it goes. Need to get rid of some stuff so stop being so choppy. I see the little dip there. That matches. That's a lot of trees.
I will say, I've only camped there once, but it was like really cool to like camp at the film site, thinking like, oh, back in '67, this is where it happened. And it's like it's such a cool, unique place when you get there. remember like my first time there, it was like just surreal to be in a spot like that. I mean, I don't know. That's what I thought. And seeing these videos, like the animation video next to the drone video, I was like, this is so cool.
Right.
I mean, yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's nice to when you get feedback from the people that have been there. It's close enough, I think.
Oh yeah, it 100% is.
Yeah, I definitely think that
So anyway, that's interesting.
there's opportunities for new conversations to come from it.
Nice.
Did I sleep? I did get sleep, but Jonathan freaked me out in the middle of the night because we were sleeping on the sandbar, but our tent. We were sleeping in the tent, kind of laying downhill, upside down, and then Jonathan started having like this acid reflux happen, and he was like coughing. I'm like, dude, was that a bear or something? He's like, no, I just got some acid reflux going on. I was like, God, yeah, it freaked me out, but it was hard to get to sleep that night.
I already asked that. So you have any new projects? Are you still going to be tweaking this one? Are you still working on this one? Even though you've put out your video?
I think I'm done. I've spent so much time on it. The only thing I might do in the future, if I can figure out how to put hair on Pattie, I'll finish her off.
That'd be cool.
Yeah.
So we can maybe, I don't know, do some more close-up animations of her walking around the creek. Because I can get hair on her. All the shots of Pattie are from really far away and quite blurry because I didn't want it to look like shiny and obvious she had no hair. So that would be something to do.
Yeah.
I thought about doing other things like making like an app you could like touch and explore.
Oh.
But
that'd be cool.
I'm not going to have any time to do that, so that's the fantasy. Right?
Yeah.
Unless I give it, I could give it to somebody else to do it, I suppose. But,
dude, if you went through that idea to make an app of that and like charge like $2 or whatever it is, I think I can promise you that I think I would speak for the whole Bigfoot community and saying they would probably buy that.
Maybe. Yeah, I'm not in this for the money though, Tate. You know.
I believe in the dream.
Yeah, I think it'd be a fun thing to do. You could have like the map on the phone and hit spots and zoom into it and walk around.
That'd be so freaking cool, dude.
Yeah, I did quickly look at how to do it, but it was beyond me. So that's for somebody else.
But in the beginning, when you worked on Pattie, that itself was a lot of work. Coming up with the right lengths for her. What did all that encompass? Can you bring Pattie up on here?
Yeah, so I'll just have to. I'll go back to the original one where I just did. I can't remember how many frames I analyzed now. I think it was. I'll show you, but I'll bring the one where I did one gate cycle. I won't do the turn section, so I'll go and open that one because that opens a lot quicker than the other one. And then I'll share the screen. So how do I end this one? Stop.
Grasshopper's comment is pretty funny.
Lazy Cowboy. Next is a digital recreation of the Kennedy assassination.
I mean, he's not wrong.
That's been done, hasn't it? I thought that was quite well done already.
I don't think it was as good as what you can do.
Okay, hang on. Share screen.
Just doing an audio check. Does anybody hear me?
Yep, you're good.
Oh yeah, I'm good. I'm good. Okay. Thanks, Tate. You're really clearing up the confusion of my audio situation tonight.
I was hoping everybody.
You should have doubled down and been like, you know, I look at other potential films as a potential to, like, I'm not saying that, you know, Ed, if you don't want to do any further projects, I'm not trying to suggest that you do them, but like there's other films that there are elements of we're starting to retrace the films, their angles, like the Freeman footage might benefit from some level of effort like this.
Well, the reason this one is so good is because we've got all the historical surveys and the new surveys that we can use.
Yeah.
I don't think we've got that for the.
Yeah, like they're trying to piece together what they can with the limited information, but there's definitely a lacking details that the Patterson footage has.
I would like to use like this program and recreate like Tom Cruise's birth.
What?
Was he born?
I mean, like, it'd be cool to like interview the nurses and doctors who were there in the delivery room and like recreate it with this.
God.
Okay.
How close is that to the MK Davis site?
I'll start that in next lockdown. Okay, this is the first piece of software I used when I made Pattie. So I started with this man. He's a basic 6 foot regular human proportion thing. So that's kind of what the whole thing was based on. And then I kind of morphed. So what you can do is you can shape things by oh, that's the wrong one. Where is it? Human. You can basically make them muscly.
Ooh.
So you're doing combinations of these different things to try and create Pattie's bulk, basically. So we go into, for this I had to mimic the camera angles of where Roger was filming Pattie from. So that took a long time to figure out exactly where that was. So that's what I started with. That's Roger's camera angle. And all these numbers on the side here are the different frames I used as a reference point. So if I bring up frame, it's not frame 0, but I call it 0 for what I was doing. That's the first one.
Holy crap.
And that's obviously a human. So what we can do is we can, I can change the surface. So it's see-through. So I was doing that and I was making sure I could see Pattie's hands, elbows.
Yeah.
So they're all in the right place.
What?
Oh, wow.
So that's how I was doing that. So because I was trying to line up all the joints. Because you can see on Pattie, you can see like the spine line on the fur.
Yeah.
So I was making sure those were all in the right place. And the butt crack is quite important. Because they're visible things you can see, you can use as cues.
Yeah.
So I did that across. So that's the human version. If I get rid of that, that's the rig. It's called a rig. So that's basically Pattie's joints. But it's not a skeleton. People get confused. I think it's not a skeleton. Let's bring Pattie in. So that's the outline of Pattie with no hair on. And again, I can keep making her invisible to make sure I had it all lined up correctly. And if I had the fur on, I'll render it quickly so you can kind of see. It might not show up very well because the hair is all really dark. Oh, there we go. So you can see it fits the outline of Pattie pretty well.
Yeah.
I can't see how you'd tweak it to make it any better, or maybe someone can. People do tell me I can't. It's wrong, but anyway. So a lot of people, when they try and recreate Pattie, they do this on one frame, which is fine. It kind of works, but then I think you need to recreate Pattie over a series of multiple frames and make sure it works across all of them, and then look at how she looks in the 3D space, because you could do that and make all the arms and hands line up. If you move to the front, she might be leaning over like this to try and make sure you've got the arm in place. So you need to rotate around it. Just to make sure she's not looking weird from different angles. So that's the first step. If I go back into the Rogers view again, I'll take the hair off because it looks it's easier to see. Texture shaded. I'll turn that first frame off and I'll choose another one at random. Let's go to frame 50 or 30 will do. So I can move her along and make sure she's hitting all the spots on that particular frame. There you go.
That's cool.
So you got all the arm lengths there. None of the arm lengths were altered. They're all human arm lengths. If I showed Pattie there and I put the human inside her, where is it? That's what we get. So it shows you the level of bulking that was required to make to get to the size of Pattie from the standard human model. Now I did one full gate cycle, so all these numbers here, there's tons of different frames that I had to hit. Let's go through to one of the last ones, frame 100. So we're further along. There we go.
When you were doing this, you know how many, even Meldrum and other people were saying how Pattie's gait was so specialized that no human could, mimic that. Did you find that to be true while you were running through these, changing her, the way she appeared, that her knees did?
No, the knees don't do any of that knock-kneed rotating thing that's going on in there. If I just play this, if I can remember how to do it, it's been a while. Can't play it because I think the StreamYard thing's in the way of the play button.
Oh,
there we go. It's just, I'll have to make it a bit smaller. It's a bit juddery because of the everything's running at the same time, but there was nothing odd about the way she was moving or the way the animation was moving. I didn't have to do anything strange to a normal gait to make her move to match the footage. Obviously, apart from the obvious things like lifting her feet up higher and stuff like that. So basically, the posture. When people overlay a skeleton on top of Pattie, what they generally do is stick an erect skeleton on it and keep it really rigid, so it doesn't really fit. What you need to do is you need to bend it at the hips and then throw the shoulders forward and slouch, and that gives you the arm length. Then the walk is the walk. People think it's impossible. I don't think it's particularly impossible. I have tried it. Before I started doing the recreation, I started to try and do a recreation in real life. But I was getting strange looks in the garden, so I stopped that and moved to Pattie recreation.
I never saw that. I never saw how they were explaining how her knees were moving, and to me it just seemed, well, she's very heavy, and because of that she's not going to be standing straight up. She's going to have a little forward move to her and to hold her weight.
From something I heard, I can't remember if it was Cliff on Finding Bigfoot saying it, or I can't remember where I heard it. It was somewhere. But they were saying when Pattie walks, her legs are obviously bent, but they were thinking that her feet might kind of be pushed inward as she's walking too.
I know she walked. Do you mean she's walking on a tightrope?
Kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, that is kind of mimicked in the model, but you can kind of see she walks along the foot do go in front of.
Well, her big toe would be kind of facing into the left, like physically turned.
Yeah, maybe it's not clear enough to see that in the footage, so I kind of just stuck. The way I did it, I started from the most logical point of view, or the most basic point of view, and went with it. So I had a human, and I worked it that way rather than starting with a monster and then try and fudge that into the results, which I think is what's been done in the past. They come from the wrong starting point. I think you need to start from what it might more logically be, and go from there and make that work. And it did. It didn't take much to make it work. Once you figure out the angles and the posture, it works across all the frames.
So
it also works exactly the same on frame 352 with the look back section.
Grasshopper says the Pattie tracks were flat-footed but heel-toe.
Not all of them. There's the Pattie track that Lyle Laverty photographed that Bob Titmus casted. It's the famous mid-tarsal break cast from the film site. Patterson casted a lot of the perfect tracks, so the flat-footed, nice-looking ones.
I'll show you another screen, and we can look at when I overlaid the model onto the footage.
Okay.
How do I do that? Share screen. Okay. So when I created the model, then I went and put it on top of the stabilized footage to see how accurate I got the animation.
Oh, wow.
So what this enabled me to do at this point, because to me that's fairly accurate, considering the footage is often blurring and moving around, so that's pretty good. Yeah. But because I've got the height, well, not the height, but the proportions as close as I can get them, I now know where Pattie's feet are, so I can then take Pattie and move. So when she gets hidden by the rocks or the foreground debris, we still know where her feet are.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings us to Legend Meets Science. If you want to get into that, we can.
Yeah, sure.
So this is the forensic animation from Legend Meets Science, which seems to be the go-to documentary on all things Pattie. So when I look at this, I thought that's doesn't look quite right to me. So this one I started looking at it and thinking maybe I can have a go as well. So if I remove the section in the middle, which is the Legend Meets Science section, overlaid onto the footage, it leaves the skeleton behind that was created for that documentary. So which is there, which to me already looks odd. Now if I reintroduce my Pattie, you'll see where the feet are.
Oh, wow.
And I can do that again on frame 352. So that's the Legend Meets Science one there. If I remove that again, leaving the skeleton, you'll see that the feet are always too high.
Yeah.
And also this was used to calculate Pattie's intermembral index. But obviously, if that was used to create the intermembral index, it's wrong because the legs are way too short, the pelvis is way too high, and in the wrong place. That's what I think, anyway.
Well, I mean, it makes sense. I mean, you can't. It does make the Legend Meets Science skeleton there does look odd. The legs look way too short. Just looking at it on its own, it doesn't seem to make sense.
Yeah.
Kind of my observations from what you're showing us and how we're contrasting it to this is there's less of a stark contrast between human morphology and the film subject's morphology, and maybe more of a contrast between adaptive gaits for the corresponding environment. Like the way the film subject moves seems like more natural for a mountainous environment, whether like, you know, like, and I can say to an extent, I probably move a little bit more like Pattie when I have a backpack on and I'm moving down a trail with intentions of hiking 20 miles. And that's just something that my body has subconsciously kind of applied to conserve energy and to be effective out there. But it's like the gait and the stance and the posture is very different from the way that humans live in their everyday lives on flat trails with little resistance.
Yeah, because there's various reasons for why the walk is the way it is. When I first looked at it, I could it didn't seem unusual to me in the ways it's made out to be. It's certainly not extraordinary, which is, I don't know why it's being pushed. It's not being pushed, is it? I suppose it's just something that the common thought, is this crazy proportioned monster that walks in a non-human way, and that seems to have become the popular theory. And I wonder why. I wonder why.
I think a lot of it has to do because, like, maybe not so much that the walk is impossible, but the fact that it's a really difficult walk, but if you're faking the film, you're in a costume, and maybe because of the terrain at the time. So factoring in those things, it'd probably be really hard or near impossible for someone to awkwardly walk like that in a costume on a sandbar. And if that's Bob Hieronymus' story, apparently Bob Hieronymus has one glass eye, so he's half blind doing it too at the same time. So I don't know. Yeah, the walk I don't understand either.
I think this is it's clearly a human error that whoever did this rendering for Legend Meets Science failed to do the work that you did, because it clearly walks behind debris, and it's like they didn't take into account for that debris, and they just made them walk on top of the debris. Like their view of it stopped at the debris instead of us, making it fall behind that debris. And
it's confusing because there are points where it's not behind the debris, so they can see where the knee is and the leg, but they didn't seem to carry it on. Whether the animator was told to create Pattie in a certain way and make it fit the footage, rather than him just making his own skeleton fit what you can see, I don't know. But then they're talking about the gait and the wobbly knee and the compliant gait where the knee never. It's always got flex in the knee, but even on the animation you can see that the leg locks out. So even that's contradicting the information from the book or the documentary anyway. I just think it was a pretty, I don't know. It wasn't that long ago, was it? Was it early 2000s? So that the software was there to do it.
Mhm.
So I'm wondering why. Yeah.
Tate, do you have any recollection of people who have claimed they were responsible for the hoax, saying that they used like a specific costume to design to make the proportions outside of human? Like, I feel like it was Philip Morris or Hieronymus that stated that they had like extensions to the arms
That's Philip
or
Morris
something like that.
saying that.
Which, I mean, we're looking here that like, and it's the proportions are more human-like, so it's like, why now it seems like that attempted explanation to fit within the current narrative, as inaccurate as it might be going, that like it seems like that narrative loses credibility, in my opinion. If they're well, this is how I made them freakishly long arms, and then we're looking at this model and we're saying, well, the arms weren't freakishly long, so it's a little bit of a gotcha for anybody
Well,
claiming that they did that.
Even if it was a man in a costume, I think again it goes back to Meldrum looking. The PG film by itself, if you didn't have the tracks to go along with the film, it would be pretty hard to prove the film could even be real. But the fact that you have that really famous mid-tarsal break track with this instant, this video, tells me that it probably wasn't a person in a costume, because a costumed foot or whatever would not give that such detail that you get in that Lyle Laverty picture, the titmus track.
When was like the earliest conversation of mid-tarsal break brought to the Bigfoot subject? Like,
I don't even think it was being brought to the subject till many years later. Not until maybe Meldrum came on the scene.
I mean, perhaps Krantz had something to say on it, but
maybe Krantz, but yeah.
Do you have a picture of that track, Tate?
Not on me.
Lyle who?
Lyle Laverty. If you Google Lyle Laverty, big Patterson Gimlin track, it should show a picture.
I've got a broken version of it downstairs. You want me to run up and grab it?
I think I found it. Yeah, I got it. Oops. That was the wrong link. Oh shoot, this is the whole... I'll just pick this whole thing up. What do we do? What do we do? Remove. There. Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
That one?
Yeah, that's the Lyle Laverty track that he photographed, then Bob Titmus casted that one. And also, like, too, if not only would a costume foot not give you that much detail, but the depth that's in, from what Roger and Bob said, they were jumping off stumps trying to land in the sandbar to match the depth, and they couldn't. So that shows you that it had some weight to this creature.
It is kind of weird.
It's such a crazy footprint.
It's very pointy.
It's like how... maybe you could do a wooden cutout, make that somehow. But then every other track would look the same as that one.
Yeah.
So... And a wooden cutout would not make that at all either. Yeah, I don't think it was faked. I don't think it was hoaxed.
Let me see if there is. Oh, here's a This. Ooh. I can get this. Ooh, privacy. You cannot show this.
Is it Todd Gatewoods?
Here we go. I don't know, but wanted to not allow me to share this. Where is it? This one. Okay. Zoom in here. Partner with cookies.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah. But I like the side view of this track.
And the depth isn't really that deep right there, is it? It's kind of shallow.
Yeah, that casting is like by far the easiest to break. Like that's why like right there where the mid-tarsal break occurs, it's so incredibly thin, and the weight distribution is so disproportionate like that. Like just a little bit of pressure will break that right in half. And that's kind of what happened with my copy as well.
You have to immediately put it in a display case.
Yeah, no touching, no moving.
Yeah, I wonder how Titmus even casted that to get it thick enough. I want to say because the original is at the China Flat Museum in Willow Creek, and I feel like it's kind of broken in a few pieces and held together with tape.
Probably. Wow, we have used up our time. We have 10 minutes left. Do you have any questions out there for any of the boys? Please put your questions out now.
I got a question for Ed. What year did you start the process of doing the animation for all this?
Yeah, so it was exactly a year ago.
1 year ago. And that was like you said, dang. That's pretty crazy, man.
Yeah, I did some overlays, just simple ones to start with, and made a few videos, but the actual where I did it, the animation of Pattie was the first one. That was a year ago.
I think this is going to age really well in the world of Bigfoot. I know because the PG film is pretty important to me and special to me, and so like when I saw this, like finally someone's doing something really good about like just in general for the PG film, and I think it's huge. It gives because it gives people a sense of what it's like without being there.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best thing that's come out of it is the appreciation, not appreciation, but people are enjoying seeing it from a different point of view.
I mean,
you can't kind of get a visual of it for just from the footage.
I think appreciation was a perfect word to it. I think it was another good word for it because I appreciated the hell out of it when I saw it. I was like, this is a kudos, man.
Yeah, I know that we've had discussions about like a virtual, like a whole virtual mock-up, like in as much detail and accuracy as we could have, like for years, like down. I feel like we were having these conversations 4 or 5 years ago at the film site. Like, wouldn't it be cool instead? Because I'm coming from Wisconsin, Tate's coming from Florida every year, and it's like, wouldn't it be cool if we could just take the film site with us, put it in our pocket, and then like study it in our respective labs later, and see what new details we can glean. And this is by far like the most like accurate and conscientious like attempt to do so. So like it's a gift to the study.
Yeah, 100%.
I've got a little visitor.
Do you think
Sash will be up in a minute. Okay. It won't be long.
Yeah, we're coming to an end here. A question for everybody, even people in the chat. Do you think seeing this kind of footage or this recreation, has it changed or given you any new insight to Pattie and the camera work of Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson. Did it help you make more sense? Did it make you feel more confused? What do you all say? Please, let me know in the comment section down below what you feel. Of course, there's going to be different opinions about stuff. Like Cowboy is saying that there was no water in the creek, but you do agree that. Well, I don't know if you believe Pattie is real or not real. I don't know which end you're coming from, but even if the creek was, empty, that would still be the same route she would have taken. And we know that Bob Gimlin and Roger Patterson were there and did that, and they've got film of that. And what? I wish good things for the young guys use old school information with the new school technology, because no, this is old school technology from TV when it came out. I don't know what he's talking about.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Anyway,
that might have been.
But it's been great to have you guys on. Oh.
Yeah, this is so cool.
I think it's perfect ending because my daughter's just woken up. It's 2 o'clock over here. Well.
2 o'clock in the AM?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah, I told him to grab him something to keep him awake, and he grabbed a beer, and now he's probably ready for bed. So
I can go all night. But I think I'm wanted. She's running around the house.
Oh no. Anyway, thank you guys for being here. We're going to bring this to an end. You guys, you have anything last to say there, Tate?
No, Ed, I think this is a pretty cool. This is probably the most accurate thing, to really give people a full scale of the film and what happened leading up to it. So, thank you for your work on this. This is awesome.
No, it's been good. It's it kept me entertained, and it's good to get into something. I've always got to have something to do.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, so it's good.
How about you, Ron? Anything you want to say? You got anything coming up?
Not anything coming up immediately that I've put on a calendar or anything, but I think I've gotten to say what I wanted to say, and but I did want to ask, like, Ed, like, where does this put like you on like, I know that me and Tate and Nikki, we're all enthusiasts in the subject, but like, where has this like journey kind of put you, and how do you feel about the subject of Bigfoot?
I think I've got to a point where I'm not super interested in whether Bigfoot is real or not. Because I think we can go around in circles on that for a long time and never get anywhere. When you're arguing with beliefs, it doesn't get you anywhere. So what I was doing doing what I was doing was just to give people, or myself, a representation of what I can actually see, rather than people telling me what I should be seeing, which I think you get a lot of in Bigfoot. I think I know why, but that's for other people to come to their own conclusions. So I did what I did so people could then also look at it and come to their own conclusions. I think the clearer you are with the information that you're giving out is the best way to be. I think it's good to talk rather than just throw something at people and tell them what it is without telling them how you've got that information. Right. I think people fall for that a lot in the world of Bigfoot. So I think we need a bit more clarity. So that's where I was coming with it. Whether I believe or not on Pattie herself, again, as I was creating it, I was coming from a logical point of view. And listening to the stories, because when I was doing the narration for that last video, I listened to so much stuff and read so much stuff that I started to. You can start building a picture, and the problem is it doesn't help you at all because everybody is contradicting everybody else.
Yeah.
There is nobody involved in the story that is sticking to the same story at any point during.
It's like the only story that can contradict itself but still not make sense after so long.
Yeah.
Right, for sure. Well, you guys, thank you for being here. I really do appreciate it. You guys can remember you can find Ed's recreation videos on his YouTube channel, The Lazy Cowboy. I highly recommend that you check them out, especially if you're a visual learner or just love seeing historical mysteries come to life. Okay. So it was really great to see those because it puts a whole new, I don't know, light on things. Matt Mom, you missed it all. You'll have to go back and rewatch for sure.
Captain Sammy says doesn't understand what I'm saying.
As always. I understood you. We got you. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody, to Sasquatch Secrets. Make sure to follow, hit that like button before you leave. Leave me a comment. Let me know if you're enjoying the shows or not. That's what keeps me going. And even though Ed doesn't really follow Bigfoot, he's going to be following my show. So I expect him to be there every Sunday. Stay up.
I choose my Bigfoot material selectively. And,
Selectively.
You're on the list.
Good. That's good. So until next time, everybody, keep your boots muddy and your eyes on the tree line. See you guys.